Hi, welcome back to Beyond the Boundary Road. I'm Jadine Croft, and with me is Des Crump, our language researcher.
Hello again.
Nice to see you again. Art is often described as being a way of expression, especially in the art world. And in today's segment, we'll explore if it expresses language for Indigenous Australians. So Des, thank you so much for joining us. Is that a way of conveying language?
I think so, because art traditionally was was the first way our languages were written down to tell our stories, to pass on our cultural knowledge. So it was important in traditional times, and it's also important now, I think.
So Des, what style of art was your mob famous for painting?
Well, nowadays everybody's using the dot art, but that was originally from Central Australia. In our traditional style of painting, it was more that rock engravings, the tree engravings, using the natural environment and actually engraving it with symbols and animal shapes, and that also formed part of the ceremonies as well. So it was sometimes used for everyday things like marking out of boundaries, and they found a couple of boundary markers out the other side of Gundawindi that's actually marked with Corroboree language symbols.
So it's known that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders, they communicate in an exhibitory manner. So why is that?
I think it was a way of expressing things through art and through movement. One of the things that comes into that area is also the sign language, which was used for hunting, where they needed to get a message across, but they didn't want to yell out or call out to scare the animals away that they were hunting, and so they would have some hand signals or gestures to help get that message across. Other people would use sand art to help convey a story or help with the storytelling. So using that symbolic language as part of the overall language.
Yeah. So tell us about the grammatical structures in these languages. Like, how would you be able to construct a sentence?
Well, the sentences in Aboriginal languages are very different to the standard Australian English that we know. It's usually just subject, verb, predicate or object. And so, for example, in English, there's only one way to say the dog bit the man and still have it making sense. But in Corroboree, you can say it in three different ways. So you could say Buramagu, Ilana, Gawir. So dog bit man, which makes sense. But if the most important part was the man that got bitten, then you would turn it around and say Giwir, Buramagu, Ilana. So that means man, dog, bit, which doesn't make sense in English, but in Corroboree that means there's something important about that man that's been bitten. It was that man over there, it wasn't someone else. And so because that piece of information is the most important, that part comes first in the sentence, and that's the general rule or pattern for Aboriginal languages. Okay,
so do you think that there are many First Nation young individuals who are interested in joining the revelation that's going on now, the revitalization that's going on right now? So if there are, how can we access them?
Well, I think some of the things like art, music, songs, those sort of things are bringing young people in, as well as the technology. So I think the more we can engage those young people at an early age, like for example in some parts of Australia they have what they call a language nest, which is a bit like a creche really, or group for a play group for young mums in particular with their children. Grandparents are there as well, and it's a chance for them to talk and share stories all in language, so they're practicing it as a little group.
So what's the difference between acknowledgement of the country, you know how they do it at ceremonies and that, and what's the difference with the welcome to country, and why would and when would they be used?
Well, I think that both of them are very important to acknowledge and respect the traditional owners of that land, and so an acknowledgement is usually done by someone from outside that area, usually the MC or the compere, who wants to pay their respect and acknowledge the traditional owners. whilst the welcome to country is made by someone who is a traditional owner or a traditional elder for that particular area of land, and so they're welcoming those people onto their land.
So do you think it has changed much over the years? Like, do you think it's been commercialised, or?
Some people say it has, especially when there seems to be a couple of standard sort of templates, but I think the other thing that's also happening are people are looking at bringing language into that welcome to country and wanting to incorporate their own language as part of that welcome, be it through song or be it through actually saying the entire welcome to country in language. So I think those things are starting to happen now, and I think that's giving it another dimension, as well as acknowledging the Aboriginal space, even if it is covered by concrete and buildings, it's still an Aboriginal space.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Des. That's all we have for today. Next week, we'll look at globalization and its impact upon language. Stay with Beyond the Boundary Road after this break.